Hey guys, so what I wanted to do was when I went out there for 3 days, I had a lot of new gear with me, untested, untried. I did a review of well, I didn't do a review, but I basically did an overview of the gear before I headed out. And I want to show you, tell you how that gear performed for me. I was a little nervous going out with untested gear. So, um, I'll let you know how that worked out for me. I figured I would start with my ground mat. This is the first thing, the first layer of defense between me and the ground. This is a standard 5x7 poly tarp. It's, $3 at most stores. Very cheap, light, but it doesn't have to do much. All it has to do is provide a moisture barrier between me and the ground. And in that purpose, it served very well. I was happy with it. Are there better options out there? Yes, there are gum blankets. There's treated canvas, all kinds of stuff. But for $3, this did its job, and I was happy with it. I also wanted to mention what I like about this is that it's super light, doesn't weigh anything, and you can pack it. It's very packable. You can pack it up really small, roll it up small, fold it up small. I happen to, in my backpack, I have a pouch for a water bladder. And as I make it about this size, it slips right into that water bladder. And it actually helps provide some cushion between whatever's in my pack and my back. So it kind of worked out well for my needs. Moving on from the ground mat, I have my sleeping mat. What I used was the Thermarest Base Camp. This performed phenomenally. It's got 2 inches of loft. It's reported, well, they advertise an R value of 6. I can tell you, I was warm, I was comfortable, and you got to keep in mind that first night it was 0 degrees out. And I had to lay on this thing for 15 hours straight. It also, once you roll it up, it only weighs about 2.5 pounds. I have a regular, so it's 20 inches wide and about 70 or 72 inches long. And when you roll it up, it's 20 inches by about 5 inches. So, and it's got its own snug cinch sack so that you can, you can cinch it in. It's got a strap, which as you can see in the video where I was covering the gear I was going to bring, I hung it off the 2 compression straps on my backpack. So it was kind of like a hang bag, and that worked really well. It's light, it's super comfortable, great R value, and it's under $50 on Amazon. And I was really happy with it. Moving on from my sleeping mat, above that, obviously, I have my sleeping bag. And what I got was a mummy-style sleeping bag, which means it tapers down at the feet. And it also has like a hood with a drawstring. So you can really kind of cocoon yourself inside this bag. It's a bag that is rated between 32 and 0 degrees for comfort, for being comfortable. For extremes, it's rated down to -15, which means at -15 degrees, you could take this bag, lie down outside, and it might keep you alive. But one thing is, the best thing about this bag is the price. I got this for around $75 on Amazon.com. And at that price point, I assumed it was all synthetic fiber fill, but it's not. It's actually ducked down above you, and below you, it's synthetic. And it seems like a lot of the sleeping bag manufacturers are going that way these days, because on your back, when you're laying on down, when it's compressed, you don't get the insulative value. But the synthetic fiber, when it's compressed, you still get that insulative value. And on top, it's ducked down. And for the price, I mean, most of the other bags that I was looking at that are like this were about, $150, $175 at least. So to find this one at $100 cheaper was amazing. And I can tell you, I mean, it was 0 degrees that first night. I had no fire whatsoever. All I had was my tarp shelter, and I was toasty warm. So the sleeping bag definitely gets 2 thumbs up. It is made by Ubon, U-B-O-N. It has a water repellent ripstop nylon. It only weighs about 2.7 pounds. It has no snag zippers. And I can tell you firsthand, when you're trying to get in and out of it during the night, it's very easy to work the zippers. They do not snag. They don't catch. When you put it in, it comes in its own compression sack, which is actually inside a bag to keep it dry. I won't call it a dry bag because it doesn't seem like a dry bag, but it will help keep it dry. But anyway, when you compress it in the compression sack, it's only about 12 inches long by 7 or 8 inches wide, compressed. So all in all, I was very happy with the packability, the weight, and the warmth
now
and
let's
comfort
move on to this
that it
bush
provided.
real quick. This thing, it served me well. To start off, it only cost about $9. It's made by Stanley. I like the fact that it had a vented lid. It came with 2 of these plastic nesting cups. I only brought one because it was only one of me, and I also had 2 little plastic cups in my mess kit, so I didn't need any more than one of these. But it's really thick plastic. It's actually really good for keeping your coffee or hot drinks warm. I like the fact that it has the measuring amounts on the sides. That can help when you're making those just add water meals. The only issue I had with this was this little plastic tab. It obviously melted, as you can see. So, other than that, I was happy with that. But in my opinion, if you're going to buy something, just go all metal. Because without this tab, if that melts away, this whole lid is pretty much useless. So I would go, if I was to go back in time, I would just get something all metal. Now the stainless steel mess kit, this I was actually pretty happy with. It's nothing special, you have your plate or bowl, whatever. The only reason I have 2 cups is because the whole reason I bought this was because I had an aluminum one, and I heard that aluminum causes Alzheimer's, and it's not good to eat out of. So I decided to get this stainless one. I probably paid a little bit more than I needed to. I got it from an Army Navy store that's known for kind of overcharging. So I paid about $20 for this. But you get this little bush pot. This actually came really, it came in handy for assisting in melting snow. I would melt snow in the bush pot and in this. You could even, melt some in the frying pan if you wanted, just so you could melt more at once. The one thing I did really like about it, though, is the stainless steel is a lot easier to clean. When I was out there to clean this, all I did was take like handfuls of snow and scrubbed the snow in there like a sponge, and that actually cleaned it really well. So all in all, I'd have to say happy with the stainless steel mess kit, but not happy with the price. So if you can find one cheaper than 20 bucks, I'd say good deal. Now this roll of cordage was another thing I bought. I liked it because even though it's a 100-pound test, it's thicker than paracord. And some of the knots that I tied for my ridgeline, for example, the Prusik loop, which I suggest everybody get to know that knot if you're going to plan on setting up a tarp shelter. If you tie the Prusik loop with paracord, it's thinner than this, and it grips on it very well. And a 100-pound test is strong enough for a ridgeline. So I was actually really happy with this. I think it's 100 feet, and I got it for about $11. I think that was at Harbor Freight. But all in all, I'd have to say this is good stuff, and if you need something stronger, you can always bring some paracord as well. I probably didn't need to bring the whole roll, but now I have my ridgeline set up with the paracord already on it. So for next time, it'll be a lot quicker to reset my shelter. Another item that I brought out for the first time with me. Now, when I said I was heading out and I showed my gear in the video before I head out, I showed a different hatchet than this. It was a little bit larger, and I decided to bring this one because I was not going to be able to clip it onto my belt. Ugh. So I brought this hatchet instead. It's a little smaller blade. I have no idea. Well, maybe it says here. I don't know who makes it. Nope. Don't know who makes it. I think it was purchased at like the dollar store or something. I completely had to reprofile this edge. I mean, it's sharp enough you could shave with it, but I did have to completely reprofile it. It's got some kind of composite plastic handle. I showed a video of me waterproofing in the sheath that I made, but the hatchet itself, in my opinion, thumbs down. Mainly because I don't know if you can see this on camera, but there's a warp to the axe blade. That is not straight. And it's hard to split wood properly when your edge is not straight. And that was another, I had the same problem with the other hatchet that I was working with. So this, big thumbs down. If you see something like that, look it over before you buy it. I mean, if it had a straight edge, it'd be okay, but as it is, garbage. Now, I've showed this knife in a couple of my videos. I've had it with me every time I've been out there. It's my standard belt knife. It's not your traditional bushcraft knife. I've never really gone into detail about it. I try not to focus too much on knives. Everybody wants to talk about their sexy knives, but this is a K-bar style. It's not your traditional bushcraft knife. This was made by Cutco, made in the USA. Cutco K-bar. It is 440A stainless steel, which means you're not going to be able to use flint to get a spark off this knife. It's coated. It doesn't have a sharp 90-degree spine that you could use to strike a ferro rod. However, it does have a false edge here on the back, which you really can use to strike a ferro rod. That is possible. All in all, I know how to utilize this knife. I'm used to using it. So it works for me, but it's not the most ideal bushcraft knife for sure. I mean, if you're trying to do some carving tasks, you can see this has what Cutco calls the double D edge right there. And that's where you'd really want to do your, your carving tasks. But now you have to move beyond that in order to get to the straight edge of the blade. And that puts more stress on your wrist when you're trying to do carving tasks. I've reprofiled this edge a little bit. So from here to here, it has a little bit more of an obtuse angle on the edge. And then for this curved area, I have a little bit more of an acute angle for slashing. So it's not really a bushcraft knife. Let's just put it that way. It wasn't designed to be, and it's good for what it is. However, it does work. That knife, I believe it was like $200 or $250. It's not cheap, but it's a good knife. I've put it through hell. I just want to mention too, one of the reasons these Cutco knives are so expensive, if I were to snap this knife in half, like right here, right, I could take, if I had only this part of the blade, I could take that little half of the blade, send it back to the company, and they would send me a brand new K-bar. It's like a Craftsman or Craftsman Tools warranty. You find half a tool laying in the street, you send it back to them, they'll send you a whole new tool. And that's why, I've been doing business with Cutco.
Let's talk about these ferro rods. I'm actually really happy with these ferro rods. I got two 5-inch by 1/2-inch ferro rods for $15. Most 5 by 1/2-inch ferro rods, you're going to pay $15 for one because they come with a handle, they come with a striker. The problem is the handle's probably going to break off, the striker's probably going to get lost. So, and you're getting one rod for about $15 on Amazon. So the advantage to this is that you can create your own handle, strike it with something you already have, and you get double the ferro rod for the same price. As you can see here, I took my two rods. One, I wrapped both in duct tape. One, I had the duct tape down far enough to where I could utilize the lanyard hole, and the other one, I put the duct tape at the end to give me more striking surface. For the price, though, these rods definitely get 2 thumbs up.
Moving on, this is something I didn't have in my pre-trip gear overview. These gloves were in my car. They're very thin. They're made by Champion. And believe it or not, the whole time I was out there, even in 0 degrees, these little thin gloves were all I needed. My hands were warm the whole time. I looked at the tag. So, like I said, made by Champion. They're 94% polyester, 6% spandex. Very nice, because not only did they keep my hands warm, but they also dried out very quickly, which was a very handy thing out there, because my hands were my hands and the gloves were constantly getting wet, and all I would have to do, like if I made a fist for a little while and opened it up, you would see the steam start to come off, which meant these were drying out. And especially if I was near the fire, all I had to do was hold my hand near that fire, and you would see the steam start to roll off them gloves. And very easy to dry out. And even when wet, my hands were warm. So these gloves also get an A+, even though I didn't plan on even having them with me.
The last thing I wanted to talk about was this collapsible bucksaw that I bought on Amazon. It was $27. It's made by Outdoor Edge. It's a 12-inch
Now, if you watch my
collapsible
videos of me
bucksaw.
out there for 3 days, you'll know that I had some trouble cutting through the wood. This is the wood blade that came with the saw. You can see it has some really aggressive teeth. This is actually a greenwood blade. And I think that's why I was having so much trouble. So what I did was I ordered a Bahco brand, if I can get it to focus. A Bahco brand. This is called a Drywood blade. And you can see the difference in the teeth here. They're designed quite a bit differently. And they cut differently. And I think for frozen wood and hardwood, this is going to do a lot better. And there's no reason that is not going to cut greenwood too if I actually needed to. So, all in all though, the saw is a very stable saw. Very happy with it. There's no rattle when you collapse it. It's a really great saw. I mean, the only disadvantage is that it's only 12 inches. Would I like a 21 inch? Yeah, but a lot of the ones like the Boreal are like $80. You know, this one was 27. And when you're talking about a bucksaw, it really just comes down to the blade. You know, you could make one out of sticks in the woods as long as you have the blade. So for 27 bucks, I'm happy with this. 2 thumbs up.
Okay, so the backpack. I said it was new before I headed out. It was like 46 bucks on Amazon. It is a Fox Tactical brand backpack. It's called the Field Operators Pack, as you can see on the top of this picture. This is how I had it set up when I hiked in. You can see my sleeping mat hanging below it. And that's how I have it set up, but it held all the gear that I needed it to. I was told to avoid backpacks with zippers, and this is all zippers. However, for got it for, I think it's worth it. Yes, I understand zippers can fail, but they haven't yet. Granted, I've only been on one trip with it for 3 days, but I did have it pretty packed. As it stands, we're going to say that the jury is still out on the backpack. It does have a lot of room. It's a 52-liter backpack. I just don't know if those zippers are going to hold up, but we'll see.
I know it's not always, it's not always comforting to go out there with untested gear. So the reviews that I gave, like I said, I've not been paid. I've not been, influenced in any way. This is just stuff that I saw. I found that I was getting a good deal on, so I bought it. And hopefully it helps you in the future when you're headed out there. And hopefully it helps you stay safe and comfortable. Have fun. And as we go, we'll keep learning together. Take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching.